app and on SiriusXM Channel 80.
Hi, I'm Emily Kaplan, host of the podcast ESPN Daily. Every weekday morning, I'll bring you the best sports story you'll hear all day. When Luis Rubiales kissed Spanish forward Jenny Hermoso in the moments following Spain's World Cup victory over England, he stepped into a contract.
Your third-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes kick off the season at Indiana this Saturday. Don't miss a second of the action as pregame coverage begins at 2 p.m. Go Bucks! Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
All right, everybody, we welcome you in live here, Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. It's the Kinner and Kev Show coming at you live on 1410 Wing AM, live at wingam.com. And, of course, you can catch us live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page as well as ESPN Dayton's YouTube channel. So many different ways that you can take in the show and hang out with us weekdays from 3 to 6. Excited to be with you here this afternoon. We were off yesterday due to Reds baseball, but we're back at it here this afternoon, and we're getting closer and closer to the kickoff of the 2023 college football season. Now, technically, we've had week 0. Technically, there's college football tonight, but we all know the college football season doesn't kick off, of course, until Ohio State officially kicks off the season. And we're excited to announce that every Thursday moving forward, we're going to be joined at the top of the 3 o'clock hour each and every week by the legendary voice of the Ohio State Buckeyes, Mr. Paul Keels, and that is who is hanging out with us here now this afternoon. Mr. Keels, welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm good, Justin. How you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Now, let me ask you, because I know as fans, it's very tough to navigate through the off season, and we just get antsy and we get anxious, and we want the season to officially get here. And I'm sure you feel the exact same way as the fan is deep inside you, of course. But with what you do and your role with Ohio State, I'm sure there's nothing like game day, especially getting to follow the team the way you do. And, of course, going to be live in Indiana, calling Ohio State to Indiana coming up on Saturday.
Well, there is excitement to that, but I also look forward to hanging on to my free weekends in the summer as much as possible. But, it's a good thing when you know it's coming to an end, you know what's there. And, starting with a conference game certainly kind of adds a little sizzle to it that maybe isn't normally there. But there is a lot of excitement, especially with a team that, while there are some unknowns, it's a team that people have a lot of expectations about.
Some of those unknowns that you were, of course, alluding to. Some of it comes at quarterback, and my take's been a little bit more optimistic than some. I don't think people are down on Kyle McCord or Devin Brown or anything like that. They don't seem to come with that publicity that we got a lot with C.J. Stroud coming in or Justin Fields and so on. And so even, the run with Dwayne Haskins that year. The thing that's most interesting is that I think that even with the deficiencies on the defensive side of the ball during the Ryan Day era, the one thing I've never doubted with Ryan Day, and he's proven this, every quarterback that plays in his system becomes a first-round NFL draft pick. Every quarterback that plays in his system ends up being a Heisman finalist. I have no reason to doubt that whether it's Kyle McCord or Devin Brown, Paul, that this team is going to roll and be just fine offensively, especially with the weapons. Obviously, we're going to see Kyle McCord on Saturday. Your thoughts on the quarterback situation, if you will, in Columbus?
Well, going into everything, there was always the guess, and that's all it was, Justin, that Kyle McCord might be the front runner. He played in 12 games. He started 1. So he's been on the field, as opposed to Devin Brown, who was only in 2 games last year, never attempted a pass, had a total of 15 snaps. It seemed to be a good thing, the way Ryan Day talked about it during the summer, that they were both pushing one another, making one another play well. McCord with a little more consistency, it sounds like, and also deferring to a guy that's in his 3rd year in the program as to somebody who's a redshirt freshman. But don't look at it as a bad thing, especially when you consider the weapons that they have around them at receiver, tight end, and running back.
My only concern about this philosophy, and this isn't criticizing Ryan Day, this is just my takeaway for college football in general. I remember I was like this last year with that team up north when they were kind of toying at the beginning of the season of trying to figure out who the quarterback is. I don't like the idea of using non-conference games almost in the sense of preseason games. I know as fans, we see some of these non-con matchups and throw them away. I know Indiana's a conference opponent, don't get me wrong, but to me, I feel like there's a danger in when you're using the first 3 games before you get to the real game against Notre Dame, of course, in the big showdown there, when you're throwing out the fact that you might just be kind of throwing out different starters for the first couple of weeks to figure it out, it almost gives the vibe of you're treating these as preseason games. Is there any concern that sometimes that trickles down to the psyche of the rest of the team when approaching some of these matchups?
No, not at all, especially when you're opening on the road and opening against a conference opponent, regardless of what the betting line is like. And if you think of last year, similarly, they opened at home with Notre Dame. So, no, now, there's always been the feeling that if things play out according to oil, Justin, that both quarterbacks were going to play in all three of these first games anyway. But, no, they understand that going on the road is nothing you take for granted. This is a team that is coming off 2 straight losses that kept them from being able to achieve the ultimate dream. They understand how quickly things can go the wrong way. So it's been a point of emphasis for Ryan Day and his staff to be ready to play aggressively. A lot of what they did in the spring was make winner and losers in competition that would trickle down into the summer camp and in the first game. They've gone to Indiana and they've had a handful at times. So they know that the Hoosiers, especially when you consider who they've got at receiver, that they can be a team that can make some big plays. So now I hear what you're saying, but I don't think there's any concern about that.
We have the voice of the Buckeyes, Paul Keels, hanging out with us here. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. We're Dayton's radio home of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State, Indiana kick off the 2023 season coming up on Saturday, 2 o'clock. Pregame coverage begins before a 3:30 kickoff. We'll also be carrying the game on our sister station, 92.9 Jack FM. Paul, we talked about, you mentioned the question marks. Of course, the quarterback situation coming in. I'm excited to see Kyle McCord on Saturday. I think Buckeye fans obviously also very anxious about seeing improvements on the defensive side of the ball, because that's been the thing that has cost them a couple national championships the last couple of years, especially when you consider the dynamic offenses that they've had and especially the dynamic quarterbacks that they've had. What is your takeaway? What is your vibe right now? Talking with Coach Day, talking with various coaches on the staff, what's your vibe right now as far as this the step forward that this defense is going to potentially take this year from last year under defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, year 1 to year 2?
Well, Jim Knowles, his staff, and all of the defensive players know their mission, and the first mission they have to check off the list, is limit explosive plays. As you said, Justin, that's what cost them in their last 2 games. We saw defensive improvement during the year, but when they got to the last 2 games and the 2 most talented teams they played, they gave up too many explosive plays. So getting ball carriers on the ground, whether they're runners or receivers, is going to be a major priority. And there's reason to be encouraged just because it's the second year with this system, with Coach Knowles, players coming back with a great deal of experience when you think about not only Steel Chambers and Tommy Eichenberg at linebacker, but some of the players on the back end, Denzel Burke, Cameron Martinez, Lathan Ransom, Josh Proctor, Sonny Styles, Jordan Hancock. But some new players that seemingly have kind of put themselves in a position to have an effect on this. A couple of transfers, and Davison Igbinosun and Jahad Carter. Malik Hartford, a true freshman out of the Cincinnati area, who really has turned some heads with the way he's played. I think people are anxious to see Sonny Styles on the field more this year than he was last year as a 17-year-old freshman. And if that defensive line can continue to improve as far as putting pressure on a quarterback, then that's reason to be encouraged about this defense taking some steps forward.
Talked about the importance of the defensive line getting to the opponent's quarterback, but what about Ohio State's offensive line protecting the Buckeyes quarterback, whether it's Kyle McCord, Devin Brown, or whoever? What's your takeaway on the offensive line and some of the conversations coming out of camp as far as how they're geared up, ready to go for the start of the 2023 season?
Another area, Justin, that is of major curiosity because Ohio State lost 3 starters, but they've got Matthew Jones and Donovan Jackson coming back at guards. They're going to have first-time starters at tackles, but guys that have played significant football. Josh Fryer played a fair amount last year as a backup. Josh Simmons is a transfer from San Diego State who started for the Aztecs. They have a first-time center, Carson Hinsman, a sophomore out of Wisconsin. So there's encouragement, and especially because of the fact there was a lot of competition for those 3 spots. We're going into the last couple of weeks. There were still questions as to who might be the starters at some of those positions. So that's going to be an area to watch. But again, you hope what they've got at running back, receiver, and tight end with Cade Stover, that will give them the opportunity to get on a roll, get some confidence, really work up a sweat against an opponent. I think the other part of it now, Justin, these players are tired of going against one another. They want to go out against somebody else. So, I think that's something that the offensive line really kind of engages in. But that's a position group that certainly will be worth watching to see how they transition with these new starters.
Paul Keels with us. Paul, last thing before we let you go, we appreciate your time here today and looking forward to hanging out with you every week throughout the college football season for Ohio State, of course. Emeka Egbuka, I know that the first receiver I throw out not named Marvin Harrison Jr. It's kind of wild, but I did a segment on the show a while back where I said Emeka Egbuka last year, I just felt like did not get the credit that he truly deserved, because last year was about the tremendous performance, of course, for Marvin Harrison Jr., and deservedly so. And then the next receiver that was talked the most about was a guy who didn't play hardly at all last year, and that was, of course, Jackson Smith-Njigba. All while quietly, Emeka Egbuka, when you look at the stats and you look at how dominant Marvin Harrison Jr. is, there was only less than 200 yards a gap between the total yardage between both receivers, and 4 touchdowns separated the two. Egbuka had a fantastic season, and I know this year it's going to be a lot of eyes on Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm really jacked to see what we're going to see from Emeka Egbuka, because I think he's going to thrive, especially with all the defensive attention going to be focused on Harrison Jr. I expect another huge season, and even have gone out for one of my great hot takes, saying that I think his total yardage and touchdowns could potentially be higher than the great Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, I would agree, especially the attention that Harrison's going to get. And Emeka has been an outstanding player. You know, he had 6 games last year of more than 100 yards receiving. He's valuable in the return game. Think back to the game they had at Northwestern. Windy conditions, hard to throw the football. He scored a decisive touchdown on a run. So he's a guy that serves a great deal of value. But, you know, also, I think there's going to be others that fit into that category, too, because of the attention that Marvin's going to get. Julian Fleming and Jaden Ballard are guys to keep an eye out for. Xavier Johnson, who is just kind of a multi-purpose player, both running the football, catching the ball last year. And there's a lot of talk about Carnell Tate, a true freshman out of Chicago who's turned some heads this summer. So certainly there appears as though there's going to be more than just a few candidates, Emeka being one of them, that can take some of the load possibly off of Marvin Harrison.
Ohio State, Indiana, kickoff to the 2023 season this Saturday right here on Dayton's radio, home of the Buckeyes, 1410 Wing AM and 92.9 Jack FM. Of course, you can hear the legendary voice of Paul Keels every Thursday right here on the Kinner and Kev Show, as well as on the call starting this Saturday. Ohio State, Indiana, we're excited. Mr. Paul Keels, thank you so much, sir. We appreciate your time and looking forward to hanging out with you each and every week.
My pleasure, Justin. Glad to do it.
All right. More of the Kinner and Kev Show when we come back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Well, the forecast says clear skies and 54 tonight, sunshine 83 on Friday, sunny warmer 89 on Saturday. I'm Rick Schrepp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
College football fans, it is our time to shine. Week 1 is officially here, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking you up with a can't-miss offer to start the season off strong. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on college football and score $200 in bonus bets instantly. Anything can happen in college football. How many times have we seen an unranked team beat a top 10 team? Countless, right? Change comes fast. The only thing that's a lock is a great offer from DraftKings Sportsbook. Life is more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code WING1410. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on college football. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code WING1410. The crown is yours. 21 and up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Physically present in Ohio. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late-night fights.
At the Home Depot, Saturdays are about 2 things. The one-of-a-kind wood-fired flavor of a Traeger Ironwood XL grill.
And football.
That's right, Desmond Howard. Get fired up for the game in just a tap with Traeger's intuitive touchscreen. Then throw on your favorites and monitor the grill from anywhere with Wi-Fi technology. So you spend less time staring at the grill.
Which means more time for football.
Upgrade your Saturday with Traeger and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Castrol Edge can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $37.99. Get started on your next job today with the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. So you ordered a new air filter for your car. You try to install it, but it doesn't fit. So you take a little bit off the sides. What, still doesn't fit? Well, you could try to sit on it. Or get it right the first time with eBay Guaranteed Fit. When you see the check, you know that part's going to fit. Air filters, brakes, headlights, over 122 million parts. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors, let's ride. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Save big money on your next painting project with 11% off everything now at Menards. Style your home with Pittsburgh Paints and Stains Ultra Interior Paint and Primer with a premium finish that provides good coverage and is easy to clean. It's perfect for any interior project. Get a gallon of flat for just $19.29 after 11% rebate now at Menards. Good through September 4th. Savings or mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
Do you or any of your family members, neighbors, or friends own a property that you just want to be done with it? If so, call TurboTrack Realty today for an all-cash offer at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000. Would it be convenient for you to take what you wanted and leave the rest behind? Great, I'll buy it. Call 614-470-2000. That's 614-470-2000.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hosting a barbecue is a breeze, but managing my frequent heartburn, that was a lot more work. I would chew up to 10 antacids in one day. Now I take just one Prilosec OTC, and my heartburn is blocked for a full 24 hours. Just one Prilosec OTC a day gives me one-and-done heartburn relief, so I can go back for seconds on my world-famous burgers.
Prilosec OTC. One pill a day, 24 hours, zero heartburn. It's possible while taking Prilosec OTC. Use as directed for 14 days to treat frequent heartburn, not for immediate relief.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. They may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTR-CM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor soon. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Get the Z's you need during Mattress Firm's best sale of the year. Right now, save up to $700 on select Tempur-Pedic adjustable mattresses.
Some days I cover up because of my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Now I'm hitting the road with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieved 90% clearer skin at 4 months. And Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-2668. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-2668. 800-583-2668. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Every Thursday at 3 p.m., Kinner and Kev will kick off the show with the voice of the Ohio State Buckeyes, Paul Keels. Don't miss the Kinner and Kev Show, weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner with you here solo today on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Kev out for a few days. He'll return to the show next week, of course, but the show must go on, and we're going on. Shout out to Paul Keels, legendary voice of the Ohio State Buckeyes. We're really fortunate to have him hanging out with us each and every Thursday to kick off the 3 and the 5 o'clock hour. So we're pretty jacked about that, especially with Ohio State kicking off coming up this Saturday. Ohio State on the road at Indiana. Ready to kick off the 2023 campaign. I'm not going to lie. Kev asked this, I believe, 2 days ago. We're on the air. He asked what I thought about Ohio State, kicking off against a conference opponent right away. I actually kind of like it, mainly because even if it's not a great or if it's not a very good conference opponent, I still look forward to Ohio State, Indiana more than I would an Ohio State, Youngstown State to kick off the 2023 season. Now, don't get me wrong. We're still going to tune into Ohio State, Youngstown State. You're still going to tune in live here on 1410 Wing AM, by the way. Am I right? Am I right? Yes. Ohio State, no matter who they play, they're the draw. But I do like, I just feel like there's a little extra push for this because it is Indiana. And Indiana's not a great Big Ten brand by any means, especially when it comes to football. But again, I'll take that over Youngstown State or any other random state, if you will. So give me it is what it is, but I'm looking forward to that. Coverage begins at 2 o'clock on Saturday, kickoff at 3:30 right here on 1410 Wing AM. All right, let's talk a little Reds baseball. I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of checked out on the Reds for a bit. They ticked me off. They upset me. They were frustrating. This is a team that I'm frustrated because I keep getting a lot of people doing this thing where, and I'm not like attacking anyone that says this, but I am pointing out the flaws with the mindset. Justin, stop being so negative about the Reds. They're only a game and a half out. Justin, stop being so negative about the Reds. They're still within striking distance of the division. I don't know 6 games. I don't think they're going to recover 6 games in the division in the month of September. It's September. It's the last day of August. It's September. It's a sprint to the finish line. I highly doubt you can make up 6 games. So I think at this point, especially mainly because of how well Milwaukee's playing and how poorly the Reds are playing. Okay, it's not as if the Reds are playing that baseball that they were playing back in June. They are playing horrible baseball right now. Okay, and that's the frustrating part. The Cincinnati Reds are not a game and a half back. They're a game back of the wild card right now. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They trailed the Diamondbacks. They trailed the Giants. They trailed the Cubs and the Phillies as we currently sit here right now. All right, sitting in the wild card spots, you have the Phillies, the Cubs, and the Giants. The Diamondbacks a half game out of that final wild card spot. The Reds are a game out, okay? So sitting here right now, Justin, why are you so negative? The Reds, they're only a game and have they can't score runs. They can't score runs. And then on the games that they do score runs, they can't get any outs. They give up even more runs. It's frustrating. Now, I know they're coming off of a big win yesterday, and I like the fact that they got the win yesterday with Hunter Green on the mound. What a performance by Hunter Green. That's the Hunter Green that's the Hunter Green living up to the expectations that are needed for this team to be a contender for the playoffs at this point. But this is not the same team from back in June. You guys are getting it twisted. You guys keep trying to do this, Kinner's being negative thing, all while just throwing out all common sense when it comes to baseball. Watch the Reds. Listen to the Reds. They're not playing good baseball right now, even in wins. Like yesterday, they came away with a win. Great. But look what it took. They had to have an explosion offensively. That's not who they've been over the last month and a half. That's not who they've been since the All-Star break. You want me to believe that a month and a half of bad baseball is just going to disappear and they flip a switch. I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not wrong often. That's kind of a joke. But again, I'm not confident that the Reds are just going to all at the same time. Every batter that was hot in the month of June is all of a sudden going to flip a switch all at the same time. Okay. We knew that there was a chance of this happening, especially because of the fact that this is the longest into a baseball season that some of these rookies have played in quite some time. Usually for some of these guys coming up through the system, we're wrapping up the regular season right about now. Some might have postseason play, here and there, but not in the Red system. So at this point, they're not used to playing this far into the season. Meaningful baseball at that. Well, the Reds made a couple interesting moves today, and everyone was kind of keeping an eye on this. The Cincinnati Reds, they claimed Harrison Bader and Hunter Renfroe off waivers, okay? The Cincinnati Reds added a pair of right-handed bats off the waiver wire earlier this afternoon, okay? Harrison Bader, as I talked about, he was with the New York Yankees, and then Hunter Renfroe from the Los Angeles Angels, all right? Now, the Reds right now are in a position where they're getting the pitching finally. The bullpen's looking a little tired, but they're not getting the run support. The reason the Reds looked like, honestly, a top 5 team in baseball back in June is because they were one of the most exciting offensive teams in baseball. It was small ball galore. It was stealing a ton of bases. It was creating and generating a ton of runs, and they didn't have to hit it out of the ballpark to do so. But it was also being complemented by the long ball. It was being complemented by Joey Votto knocking it out of the ballpark. It was being complemented by the power in the bat of even a Matt McClain and a Spencer Steer and all the other rookies. Ellie De La Cruz, it was just a single was the most exciting play. Everything he did was just turn to gold. Now it's one of those types of June games every 5. Ellie De La Cruz in June, every night it was something special. Now it's every other series something special. We need more consistency. And it's not fair to look at all of those rookies and say, you got to forget the fact that you're a rookie. You got to forget the fact that you're new to Major League Baseball at this level. You have to be a polished veteran and produce. It's not fair to do that to them. However, if we're going to anoint all of them the faces of the future, I don't think it's that wrong to sit there and expect a little more out of them. So how do I feel about the additions of Harrison Bader from the Yankees and, of course, Hunter Renfroe from the Angels? Let's start with Harrison Bader. Harrison Bader's 29 years old. He was waived by the Yankees earlier this week. He hit .240 with 7 home runs in 80 games this season. Now, he did miss the first month of the season with an oblique injury, and also was sidelined nearly 3 months last season because of a foot injury. So the fact that, he's really hasn't been able in a position to kind of get in any kind of rhythm because of the fact that he missed so much time last year, he missed the first month of this season. It's just been an amount of, consistently being out there to get comfortable. Maybe now the Reds can capitalize on an opportunity where he comes in, new scenery, an opportunity to take off. The Reds have had a lot of success getting guys from the Yankees that have come over and taken off. Sonny Gray was one. Sonny Gray was a guy that did not play well he did not pitch well with the Yankees at all. He was Cy Young caliber-esque when he was with the Cincinnati Reds. Sometimes getting out of that New York market, coming to a media-friendly market like Cincinnati, where they'll tell you how great you are, even if you hit 142. Sometimes that could be a big difference maker with the mindset and morale of a player, of a hitter especially. Okay? Keep an eye on him. Hunter Renfroe, 31 years old. Of all the guys that the Reds were kind of toying at, he was owed the most money of any player that was claimed. It was just a little bit under $2 million for the remainder of the season. He was one of 6 players waived by the Angels. The Angels cleared house, okay? Now, he's hitting .242 with 19 home runs and 56 RBIs. Look, sometimes we look at the numbers as a whole. But both of these players right now have actually been swinging a very hot bat coming into this situation. I don't care what your numbers are for the season. I care about what you're hitting right now. Just like I care about how you're playing now. I'm consistent with that mindset. A lot of you are looking at the fact that the Reds are a game out. The Reds are only a game out because of the work that they put in June. If you're hitting .242, but you're hitting .285 over the last 15 games, I'm going to take that from Renfroe. You guys see what I mean? I don't care what you're doing for the full body of work. People kept throwing that at me about Joey Votto when he was struggling. You're going to get mad at a career .270 hitter. No, I'm mad at the 142 hitter. Stop using the stats to fit your narrative. Now, you could say I'm doing the same thing, but at least the common sense thing to do is, what have you done for me lately? What are you doing for me now? I've used this analogy before. All right, 365 days in a year. How many of those days are you physically actually working when you're not using PTO and all this? Okay, but if you have a problem with an employee that is consistently late to work, and you're constantly getting on them about being late to work, but today they showed up on time. But that happened to be the day that the boss said, you know what, we have a problem with your tardiness. You're continuously late to work. What are you getting mad at me for? I showed up to work today. I showed up to work today on time. It's like, it's what, and they're sitting there saying, okay, one day out of the whole season, you're finally doing, or the whole year, you're finally doing this. Okay. It's not about, and you're continuously late, or you're on time. I'm sorry. I used that backwards. Man, I was on fire. I couldn't wait to use that analogy and I totally screwed it up. Can we rewind and act like I didn't just mess that whole thing up? Let's start this over. All right. An employee, right? Okay. All right. On time to work every day. But for the last week, he's been showing up late for 4 straight days, right? 4 straight days he's been late. The boss says, hey, we have a problem with you showing up late. And you say, well, I've been on time pretty much every day up until this week. It's about what you've done for me lately. Man, that would have hit a lot better for my point I'm trying to make if I would have got it right the first time. That ticks me off, but I think you guys understand the point. So I don't care about the overall career or the overall season numbers for Renfrow and, of course, for Bader. Both are playing really well right now. Both are swinging a hot bat. And I think that David Bell, it's one thing to make these changes, but David Bell he just has this thing where he likes to screw some things up at times because he David Bells it up. He has to micromanage. He has to overmanage. Let these guys get comfortable. I don't know if the Reds lineup is out or not. I haven't gone to check. I don't even know if they're in Cincinnati. This move was just made today. I highly doubt they're going to play today for the rest. I'm curious how long before we see both of them in the lineup and who they're going to take at bats from. But as far as I'm concerned, the guys in the lineup consistently since the All-Star break, they're not getting it done. Make tough decisions. David Bell, you want to prove that you are worthy of being the manager of the future, which doesn't really matter what my take is on this. But to me, you want to win some points with me. Probably doesn't, but you know what? It's my show, so who cares? All right. Bottom line is, show some cojones. Put these guys in the lineup. Leave them in the lineup. Make cutthroat decisions. Sit some young guys. Sit some rookies. They gave you what you needed for the majority of the season. But right now, this month of September, I don't care what you've done all year. I don't care how great you've been for the first 4 months of the season, 5 months. The last month, everyone's been terrible. You've been garbage. August was a garbage month for the Cincinnati Reds. And right now, it's about what are you going to do for me now? Renfrow, come in. He's a veteran, 31 years old. There's finally a veteran presence in this clubhouse. Bader, 29 years old, a veteran presence in this clubhouse. Put them in the lineup. Let them lead. These are crucial at-bats. These are crucial games. These are crucial series. And if you want the Reds to play into October, if you want to be cheering on the Ohio State Buckeyes, all right, if you want to cheer on the Buckeyes every Saturday while enjoying the Reds in between throughout the month of October, these two have to play, and they have to get every day at bats. And I'm not talking about pinch hitting late in games and being a part of platoons and all that other nerdy crap about baseball that makes me want to turn the channel. Play them every day. Put them in the lineup. Let's go. What say you? I saw some calls coming in, but again, I told you guys I'm running solo today. You guys get to be, you could call in. I'm going to put you guys on hold. I'm going to bring you on the show on the next part, all right? Your thoughts. How does this change your view and perception of the Reds moving forward? Does this put them over the top? Do you feel better about their opportunity and their ability to make the playoffs now because of Bader and Renfrow? 518-1410. 518-1410. You could text that number as well, by the way. Text 518-1410 or call 518-1410. We're going to get you on the show. We're going to hear your takes next. It's the Kinner Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
If you need new roofing, siding, or gutters, skylights, or patio enclosures, if you're a homeowner or business and need someone you can trust, don't take a chance. Enhance with Lance. Lance Roofing and Siding in Fairborn has been satisfying customers since 1993 and hold an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Lance Roofing and Siding, 8460 Dayton Springfield Road in Fairborn. Call for a free estimate at 864-2722. That's 864-2722 or online at lanceroofing.com.
Hey, Cordell Transportation is now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers, excellent pay, benefits, and a $5,000 sign-on bonus. Apply right now. Online at CordellTransportation.com. Do it right now. Driven to succeed.
Hey, it's Justin Kinner from 1410 ESPN Radio. And just like you, I love listening to 1410 Wing AM when I'm in the car and at work. There are thousands of people just like us, and we all buy stuff. We buy groceries, diapers, mowers, furniture, cars, you name it. Someone's buying it and someone's selling it. But what if you could get paid to bring both of those things together? 1410 ESPN Radio is looking for honest, dedicated people who can help local businesses make those connections with people like me and you. This is a job where the more you do, the more money you can make, and we provide training to help you learn. All you need is reliable transportation and a desire to help people. If you've got those two things, the potential is limitless. Send your resume to DaytonJobs@alphamediausa.com or call us at 937-519-0030 to get your career as an integrated marketing consultant started today. You could be the newest member of the 1410 ESPN Radio family, and who knows, maybe I'll buy you lunch your first week on the job. 1410 Wing AM is an equal opportunity employer.
Urology Specialists of Ohio are here for you. Men, your good health is important to them. Their knowledge of specific male anatomy, prostate issues, and how to help in your healing is their main focus. Urology Specialists of Ohio are now accepting new patients at all locations: Beaver Creek, Springfield, Urbana, Xenia, and London. They have been in practice for over 20 years with over 80 years of experience between 5 physicians. Call today. They can schedule your appointment in a timely manner with little wait time. Online at urologyspecialistofohio.com.
Now's the time to get a great deal on Kubota construction equipment, featuring durable Kubota engines, more comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. The Kubota construction lineup shows up ready to work every day. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 36 months. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at ColumbusEquipment.com.
Hey, I'm College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers, and I'm here with John Glazier from Glazier Soft Water. Did you know we are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Yes, I did. But did you know that Glazier Soft Water is the home of the 7-year, worry-free parts and labor warranty? We've been making water great since 1988. What were you doing in 1988?
That was my 3rd year in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. I had 10 touchdowns that season, and we made the playoffs in 1988.
So you can say that we both have been doing great since 1988. Glazier Soft Water. Glazier Water is better water.
Discount Drug Mart is open Labor Day until 9 p.m. for all your last-minute Labor Day needs. One quick trip to your neighborhood Drug Mart, and you're back to the party with everything you need. Discount Drug Mart saves you the runaround.
The Springfield Wildcats, the Trotwood Rams. Don't miss our high school football game of the week this Friday night. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. with a Buffalo Wild Wings pre-game show. For the complete season schedule and weekly top performances breakdown, visit wingam.com.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. As you just heard, our week 3. That's right, week 3, our high school football game of the week. The Springfield Wildcats on the road at the Trotwood Rams coming up tomorrow evening right here on 1410 ESPN Radio and, of course, on our sister station, 101.5 Hank FM. Coverage begins at 6:30 with the Buffalo Wild Wings pregame show, and I'll take you all the way up to 7 o'clock to kick off Jeff Graham's Trotwood Rams, welcoming in Mo Douglas's Springfield Wildcats. We'll actually preview that matchup and more coming up with Jeff Gilbert from Dayton Daily News. He covers all things high school athletics here in the Miami Valley, and he's going to help us preview that matchup as well as some of the other top matchups around the Miami Valley coming up here in just a little bit. 518-1410, that's the number that you could text or call to the show and be a part of the conversation. We're also live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page. So I threw out the question in the preview of the show today. Is it too? So the Reds make those moves, okay? They claim Hunter Renfroe, and they of course they are able to acquire Harrison Bader from the Yankees, Renfroe from the Angels, Bader from the Yankees. Technically, both just free agents. I mean, they were cut, waived, all that fun stuff, and the waiver wire, and the Reds benefited from that. This is huge. I always forget how cool and how impactful the waiver wire could be. But for us as Reds fans, we're usually out of it. We're not even sniffing the playoffs at this point heading into September. So the waiver wire is really never a point of conversation on the show over the years, but it is today. And I am very happy that the Reds were not as foolish today as what they were at the trade deadline. I don't know why, though. I don't know why they would get Bader and Renfroe. You have rookies. They're fine. Who cares, right? No, Renfroe and Bader, let's say that these two do push, that these two are the difference makers and help push the Reds into the postseason. I want it to be clear. I am not saying that the front office they should still be held accountable for the mistake at the deadline. It should not have come down to this. The Reds should be still well ahead in the division. These additions should have been made on top of being ahead of the division, because it should have just been to double down and solidify them as favorites heading in. Now, we're all just fingers crossed and praying that the Reds can close it out. 1 month left. Sprint to the finish line. This is what it's all about. Some of you are more excited than I am because you keep holding on to this idea that, well, they're only a game out. Well, they're only a game out, but they're not playing good baseball. But hopefully these two could be the spark that this team needs, especially offensively, because the Reds are getting good pitching. And this is usually how it goes, especially with any team that I follow, right? In football, it's, my team will have a very, very good defense and not a good offense. Or like the Browns, they'll have a good offense, a great run game, an adequate passing game, but the defense can't stop a nosebleed. It can never will everything be clicking at once. The Reds, the offense is on fire. They can't get the pitching. Now the pitching's figured out. They can't put the damn bat on the ball. It's frustrating, right? Hopefully this can even out, and hopefully this can match the production that the Reds are getting from their pitching right now. Is the pitching top notch? Is it elite? Is it? No, but it's just enough to keep them in the hunt, and hopefully the offensive production can match what they're getting out of their pitching right now, whether it be the rotation, bullpen. They could use a little more depth, but that's besides the point. The bottom line is the Reds, hopefully this is what pushes them over the top. My favorite stat about these two, we could talk about how many home runs they're hitting. We could talk about their average and their velo and blah, 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 all that boring stuff. I don't care about. My favorite thing about them, their age. They're adults. They're men. They've experienced the game. They know what September baseball is like. They know what a push into the playoffs is like. All right. That's what's key. That's what's important. And to me, throughout all the stats that these two bring to the table, the only thing that matters that is going to help this team more than anything else, something that the front office just seemed to, blindly forget about at the deadline, they need experience. And they have that. And by the way, for those of you out there that say, well, they didn't think they needed this at the deadline because they had a 40-year-old first baseman hitting 147. Oh, that you mean to tell me that wasn't enough? Wow, gee Willikers, man. Gee Willikers, Batman. I can't believe that a 40-year-old, who's basically just a nostalgia act, hitting 147 wasn't enough to push the Reds over the top. Give me a break. So some stuff coming in. Let's start on YouTube. Randy Bertholf on YouTube. Let me make sure that I can blow this up so people can read this. For those live on the Justin Kinner Show Facebook page and the ESPN Dayton YouTube channel, Randy Bertholf says, our saving grace is our weak schedule. After the Cubs and Mariners, we don't play anyone really good. Pirates, Cardinals, Twins, and like the rest of the way, and teams like that the rest of the way. Let's hope we don't play down to their level. That I agree with. I agree with that big time because sometimes when you're a young team, you could, and we saw this with the Braves. The Reds, even though they weren't coming out on top, they dropped 2 or 3 to the Braves, and then all 3 against the Braves at the season and the series back in April. Every matchup against the best team in baseball was a 1-run outcome. And even though the outcome looked like the Braves dominated the Reds, I mean, you saw the manager of the Braves say, we just need to hurry up and get the hell out of Cincinnati because the Reds are a pain in their butt. The young teams play up to their competition, but they have a habit of playing down. Hopefully, adding veteran leadership like Renfroe and Bader could be what pushes them over the top. Bader does go on to say, or Bertholf goes on to say on YouTube, Renfroe went 3 for 4 with the home run and 4 RBIs yesterday. That's what I was talking about. Like, I don't care about their 247 season averages. I care about what are you doing for me now? Because the Reds are a game out because of the work that they did in June. But they're not playing good baseball now. They need to start playing good baseball now. Hopefully these two are going to be what puts them over the top. Timmy Hockett, what up, Timmy? Timmy Hockett says, no, it's not too late. Remember, I asked, is it too little too late? When you add Bader and Renfrow, is it too little too late? He goes, no, it's not too late. I think the Reds might get into the playoffs, possibly a wild card. Timmy, I think that if they get into the wild card, or if they get into the playoffs, it's definitely through the wild card. They're not winning this division. Unless the Brewers just go on an epic collapse, the Reds are not winning the NL Central, that's for sure. Keith Tolliver, as a Cards fan, I actually was a fan of Bader when, sorry, let me start that over. Keith Tolliver on Facebook says, as a Cards fan, I actually was a fan of Bader. He will give you his all. Dude is great in the locker room, and this will help the Cincinnati Reds. And that's where I think they need this the most. Just a veteran guy to calm everyone down and lead by example, not hit 147 and tell everyone it's going to be okay. It's, hey, guys, it's going to be okay, and then step in the box and go produce and not have a home run every 20 at-bats and say, see, I still got it. Votto still bangs, and then he's, banging around the bases, hitting 147. Give me a break. Let's see. Scott Campbell on YouTube. I hope these new guys do play every day. The lineup is missing veteran presence, and they're missing production at the end of the day. Yes, I agree with you, Scott. That's for sure. Deborah. What up, Deborah? Oh, sorry, Deb. She says, this is Deb. The only way these two players will help is if Bumble Bell doesn't screw them up and play them in positions they aren't familiar with or bounce them around like ping pong balls. That's something, too, that doesn't get talked about enough. I think a lot of the defensive errors, a lot of the errors in the outfield and even the infield sometimes is because you're bouncing guys all over the place, like Deb just said, like ping pong balls. One day Spencer Steer's a third baseman. The next day he's in the outfield. Then he's at first base. Like, I know people are obsessed with versatility, but there's a lot to be said about just consistency and some familiarity and getting reps at the same position over and over and over. Imagine in football, if one day you're a wide receiver, the next day you're a running back, and hey, I need you to play safety today. I know you see that in high school, by the way, but I'm talking the NFL. That doesn't work there. All right, basketball, it's a little different. You can play multiple positions, but there are positions that guys in basketball that they produce better at. But I hate when the Reds try to fool you. They don't want you. They know they're cheap, and instead of admitting they're cheap, they try to tell you, hey, our philosophy is we want guys who are capable of playing third base and can give you production in right field, and they can come in and play first base. How about just one of the best third basemen in baseball? How about that? All right, how about just consistent reps at one damn position? Now, I get in a pinch, you kind of like to have that flexibility, but your game plan should not be that. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the game is passing me by. I'm 33 years old, and sometimes I talk about this game as if I'm 70. No offense to the 70-year-olds out there, but I think you guys will agree with me. But, Deb, you are spot on. I cannot agree with all the comments in here are great. I appreciate everyone. But, Deb, shout out to you because that's a point that I don't think even I bring up enough, and I'm glad you brought that up. I think what leads to a lot of the defensive errors and the inconsistencies and the deficiencies out on that field is because and by the way, it's one thing if you do this with veterans, and I'm not a fan then, but to add that to the plate of rookies who are trying to learn the game at the major league level, third base one day, outfield the next, then first base, then coming out of DH and all this. It's like, my gosh, pinch hitting late in games, sometimes missing a couple days for rest, and then you play your 40-year-old hitting 147 every single day. By the way, I know he's out injured. He hasn't played in a while, but I'm going to be very salty about the use of Votto for a very, very long time because that was just ridiculous if you ask me, but that's not what we're talking about today, or are we? But it is what it is. So thank you, Deb, for that point. Yes, you bring Renfrow in, play him where he's supposed to play. You bring Bader in, play him where he's supposed to play. Play him every day. You brought him in because they're hitting the ball. You brought him in because they're producing. You brought him in because they're veterans. So don't bring in a veteran to play every once in a while. Don't bring in a veteran outfielder to, hey, can you catch? Hey, how fast is your fastball, bro? Like, that's the David Bell way. That's the Reds philosophy. We're cheap. We don't want to buy really, really good first baseman or second baseman or third baseman. We just want a guy who's capable of half-assing it at second, third, and right field. Do you want a guy that's capable of being half-assed at right field, second, and third, or a guy that can't play second or third, but man, he could play a mean third base? Anyways, rant over. Sorry about that. 518-1410. To the phones we go. We're going to go to Riverside. We got Riverside Rick hanging out with us. Riverside Rick, thank you, sir, for being patient. How are you?
I'm doing good, Justin. How about you?
Not too bad, not too bad. I'm glad to hear from you today. What you got for us?
Well, interesting fact I heard the other day was since the All-Star game, the Reds have scored 3 runs or less 21 times, and they've lost 20 of those games.
Yep, I read that the
And-
other day. I think it was I saw Lance McAllister tweet that out from 700 over in Cincinnati. Shout out to Lance, by the way. I always like to give credit to those things so people don't think I'm stealing those stats because I don't really do my own homework. How do you think I got through college, Rick? I mean, come on. But no, yeah, 20 of 21 games since the All-Star break, they scored 3 or fewer runs, and they've lost all but one of those. That's a problem. That's why these two should be a big addition.
And last year's team, I actually went back and looked. They did that 80 times. 80 games
Really?
they scored 3 runs or fewer. So what concerned me this year was where are we going to get our runs from when you looked at the team we had? Because we had really no proven hitters, no big home run hitters. Votto's past his prime, I mean, where are we going to get our runs from? These kids have been a surprise, but, you just can't count on kids all the time,
No, you can't. And look, and I got to give the Reds a little. I'm not excusing this, but remember, coming into the season, this was supposed to be a 100-loss team. This team was supposed to be last in the NL Central. We weren't supposed. I mean, right now, I thought. I'm used to at this point of the season, Rick. It's 3 hours of Ohio State, Bengals, and Browns talk, and it's very strange and very refreshing to be talking Reds at this point of the month and this point of the year, right? So they're doing something no one expected them to do, but just because no one expected them to do that doesn't mean that you make adjustments on the fly. You come in expecting to have a bad team, but if they start playing well and you have a good team, you make adjustments based on having a good team now, not based on expectations you had back in March. So I'm with you. This team was they weren't supposed to have anyone producing runs or anything. But the thing is, even though they're not producing runs, Rick, they proved that they can. We know Spencer Steer can hit the ball, and Matt McClain and Ellie De La Cruz and Christian Encarnacion Strand and obviously, Novelli Marte. We know they can hit the ball. We know they could drive in runs. So I'm not going to give them a pass because they're rookies. They've already proven that as rookies, they could do it. They need to do it now, but I'm glad that they added some veteran reinforcements.
Well, like you said, at least there's excitement in September this year.
Yep. How often do you make it down to GABP?
It's been a while since I've been down there. I'm a little on the elderly side. My health is not that good. And with having to park so far away and going up and down all those stairs and all that, it's not real convenient. I go to more Dragons games than I do their actual Reds games.
Well, I mean, you really can't tell the difference. I mean, half the Reds were just Dragons a year ago, right? So I feel like
I know that.
Hey, I tell you what, Rick, if you ever change your mind about wanting to go to a Reds game, message into the show, and I'll be glad to send you a couple tickets, even if you forward them on to some friends or family or whatever. I'll be glad to hook you up. But September baseball is going to be fun for once, and I'll make sure we're squeezing in some Reds talk between all the fun with the Bengals, Browns, and Buckeyes. That's for sure.
All right.
Hey, Rick,
Thanks,
by the way,
brother.
last thing, sir. Is this enough? Are the Reds going to be playing into October, in your opinion?
I think they will squeak by, yes, but it's going to be the last spot, and it's going to come down to maybe a tiebreaker.
All right, good stuff. Hey, it was great hearing from you. Talk soon.
We'll do. Later.
All right, good stuff. 518-1410, 518-1410. Renfroe, Bader, veteran right-handed hitters in this lineup. Forget right-handed, left-handed. It don't matter. Veteran hitters in this lineup. That's what the Reds needed. That's what the Reds have, but is it enough? 518-1410, 518-1410. That is the number to call and jump in on the conversation. So I appreciate all the interactions on the social media side. I appreciate all the interaction through the phones. We'll continue to talk about this here as we move along. But I think the other interesting thing, too, how about the Guardians making some interesting moves? The Reds have the Guardians coming up, but the Guardians who, look, I think I would be more critical of the Guardians than the Reds about the moves that they made. Like, so for instance, when you look at the Cleveland Guardians right now, the Guardians are 11.5 games back of the wild card in the American League, right? And then you look at the fact that in the American League Central, all right, they're 5 games back in the division. But why would the Guardians do what they did today when they acquired a couple of those names off the waiver wire? With Jalita, obviously, and everything else. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me why they would do that. The Reds, it kind of makes sense. To not defending them, I just think they made the wrong decision. At the time, though, I understand where they were coming from. The Reds were one of the hottest teams in baseball in the first half. And they started to get hot a little bit after the All-Star break. So I think that they thought, we don't really need to get rid of some of our prospects to go get veteran players. Like, look how good we're playing now. Let's just let this play out a bit. I didn't agree with it, but that was their mindset. I don't know what Cleveland's thinking was. You were in a division race. You were in a wild card race, and you got rid of people. You got rid of players who were producing for you. I don't feel bad for the Guardians. In fact, I think this is just kind of silly, and maybe this was a way to prevent some teams around them from acquiring some of these, but why? You're 11 and a half games back of the wild card. You're 5 back in the division, but you're not good. You're not making the playoffs, so why make these moves? It doesn't hurt anything to make these moves, but I just think it just shows that the front office doesn't know what the hell they're doing. I would have respected the Guardians more had they moved on from the guys that they did at the deadline and didn't pick anyone up off the wire, and just went on and said, hey, we're sticking to our plan. But they didn't. That's why I'm questioning why they did what they did. Simple as that. Scott Campbell says, let Riverside Rick know that if he parks under the stadium, he can take the elevator up to the Hall of Fame entrance to cut down on the walk to the gates. See, that's what I like about this show. Everyone's trying to help one another out. Scott Campbell on YouTube doesn't know Riverside Rick, but he hears a problem from Riverside Rick, who says he would love to go to the ballpark at GABP, but a little older, some health complications. It's not easy getting around that large ballpark. Thank you, Scott Campbell. One more time, Riverside Rick, if you're listening, just know, according to Scott here, if you park under the stadium, you could take the elevator up to the Hall of Fame entrance to cut down on the walk to the gates. Good stuff, Scott. Appreciate you. Kinner and Kev, 1410 ESPN Radio.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry's starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code JOY at checkout. That's harrys.com, code JOY. Enjoy.
Polking Bowling Centers are your connection for family fun or a great night out with friends. Looking for the best venue for your upcoming event or party? Check out our VIP suite at Polking Lane South. It's a unique, state-of-the-art VIP 8-lane luxury suite. It's not too soon to book your holiday party. Call today and let the good times roll. Let us book your holiday event at any of our centers. Polking Lanes in Dayton on Wilmington Avenue, Polking Woodman Lanes in Kettering on Woodman Drive, or Polking Lane South in Centerville on Kingsridge Drive. Ho, ho, ho.
Now's the time to get a great deal on Kubota construction equipment, featuring durable Kubota engines, more comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. The Kubota construction lineup shows up ready to work every day. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for $0 down, 0% APR for up to 36 months. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at columbusequipment.com.
College football fans, it is our time to shine. Week 1 is officially here, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking you up with a can't-miss offer to start the season off strong. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on college football and score $200 in bonus bets instantly. Anything can happen in college football. How many times have we seen an unranked team beat a top 10 team? Countless, right? Change comes fast. The only thing that's a lock is a great offer from DraftKings Sportsbook. Life is more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code WING1410. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on college football. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code WING1410. The crown is yours. 21 and up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Physically present in Ohio. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms.
At Staples, school savings are always in session. From art supplies and essentials to the latest tech, in stock and price low. School on, save on at your local Staples store.
Logan Wilson here.
Did you know that every 3 hours in the U.S. a person or vehicle is hit by a train? Make good, safe decisions at all highway rail crossings. The safe choice is always the right choice. You are worth the wait. See tracks, think train.
Sometimes a choice has to be made. You can make a safe one. Always expect a train. Know that trains can run on any track at any time in either direction. Never try to beat a train. The safe choice is always the right choice.
Now's the time to get a great deal on Kubota construction equipment, featuring durable Kubota engines, more comfort, more productivity, more get it done right. The Kubota construction lineup shows up ready to work every day. Right now, bring home select Kubota equipment for 0 down, 0% APR for up to 36 months. Now through September 30th. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for more details.
Stop by Columbus Equipment in Columbus, Dayton, or Toledo to see their full line of Kubota construction equipment, or check them out online at ColumbusEquipment.com.
The wait is finally over. The college football season is finally here. Don't miss the Ohio State Buckeyes as they kick off the season this Saturday on the road at Indiana. The Ohio State Buckeyes at the Indiana Hoosiers. Pre-game coverage begins at 2 p.m. Kickoff at 3:30 right here on Dayton's radio home of the Ohio State Buckeyes. 1410 ESPN Radio and 92.9 Jack FM. Go Bucks!
Coming to you live from the Superbook Sports Studios in Kettering. You're listening to Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
Hour number 2. Welcome in, everybody. I hope everyone's had a great day. We are getting closer and closer to the college football season. Technically, it kicks off tonight, as we joked earlier with Paul Keels. If you missed that, by the way, we have he'll be joining us again at 5 o'clock. Every Thursday, the top of the 3 and the 5 o'clock hours, the legendary voice of the Buckeyes, Paul Keels, will be hanging out with us. So keep that in mind. We have that coming up for you later on in the show again. Okay. So, like I said, I joked with Paul Keels earlier that college football technically kicked off last week with week 0, and technically there's college football tonight. But as we know, college football don't kick off till Ohio State kicks off. They kick off on Saturday, 2 o'clock. Coverage begins all the way up to 3:30. The kickoff, Ohio State at Indiana. Ohio State opening up with a Big Ten opponent. Doesn't happen often, but as I said earlier, I'll take the Indiana season opener over having to watch them play Youngstown State or someone else nonetheless. But the result will be the same. It'll be ugly. Nonetheless. But very good conversation with Paul Keels. Of course, we talked about the perception of whoever the quarterback is. The expectations remain the same, being a Heisman candidate, future first-round draft pick in the NFL, to stay in line with what we've seen from every quarterback that has fallen in place throughout the Ryan Day era in Columbus, whether it be the brief stint as offensive coordinator under Urban Meyer. We saw what he did with Dwayne Haskins, of course, and then, obviously the next year with Justin Fields, and then carry on to C.J. Stroud. I mean, it's been pretty impressive what Ryan Day has done in Columbus. Every quarterback that he has touched in Columbus has ultimately been drafted in the first round and ended up being a Heisman finalist. I don't see that trend slowing down anytime soon. So whether it's Kyle McCord or Devin Brown, you could say, well, we don't know anything about him. How can you say that? We didn't know anything about C.J. Stroud when he first stepped out onto the field. In fact, we wanted to criticize him because he played a very iffy half in his very first start ever on the road on a Thursday night at Minnesota just a few years ago. You guys made up your mind about him at halftime of week 1 on a Thursday night at Minnesota, which that was Minnesota's Super Bowl, having Ohio State prime time at night on a Thursday. You made up your mind at half, and then he torched him in the second half, got comfortable, and boom, look out. It's almost like Ryan Day and that offensive staff, when they see quarterbacks out on the recruiting trail, they kind of know what the hell they're doing. So I have all the faith in the world that whether it's Kyle McCord or Devin Brown, they're going to be all right. They're going to be just fine. And they're going to be just fine coming up on Saturday. I promise you that much nonetheless. All right, Cincinnati Reds. The more things change, the more they stay the same. We just spent a little bit of time talking, of course, about the fact that the Cincinnati Reds were able to add Bader, from the New York Yankees, which was a big addition for them. And then, of course, Renfroe from the Angels. Renfroe and Bader are 2 huge additions to the Cincinnati Reds. Both guys are hitting the ball really, really well. Both guys can hit the ball to the ballpark. Both guys hit for average. And most importantly, both guys are hitting the ball really well right now. Not, they have really good numbers this season. No, they're playing really well right now. That's key. That's key. That's why I keep telling everyone, stop telling me that the Reds are only a game out. They're a game out, but they've dropped to a game out. It's not like the Reds were 4.5 out and now they've played so well that they're up to a game out. That's different. Do you guys see what I'm trying to say? I'm not being negative. I'm not trying to, Kinner's always right. But I'm right in this case. There are different ways to evaluate what being a game out of a playoff spot means. Some teams drop a game out. Other teams move up to a game out. Guess which one the Reds are? The more negative one, unfortunately, which is what you're accusing me of being. But I call that common sense. So when it's all said and done, this was a good decision by the Cincinnati Reds. I appreciate that Nick Krall made this decision. I appreciate the fact that they didn't remain stubborn after they were stubborn at the deadline, because apparently they expected to get, big-time veteran contributors for nothing. I mean, this idea that, we really didn't come across anything that intrigued us because, everyone was asking for a lot of our top talent. Well, that's how it works, Nicholas. That's how it works. You got to give up top talent to get top talent. That's just common sense. It's how baseball has worked, I don't know, for the entirety of its history. Simple. That's simple, right? So whatever. That's in the past. There's nothing we can do about it. Complaining ain't going to fix it. The bottom line is today the Reds made the smart decision. They added veteran leadership to this roster. I don't care about the home runs. I don't care about the guys hitting for average. I don't care about the RBIs. I don't care about their OPS. I don't care about any of that. I care about their veteran presence. Okay, what they bring to the table. 29 and 31 years old. Love it. Love it. They've been in the major league level for quite a few years now. They contribute, they produce, they know how to play in the month of September. They have some mileage on them. They know what they're doing. And I think that's the veteran leadership and presence that this young roster needs. Not a 40-year-old hitting 147. Period. I know I'm annoying a lot of you Joey Votto lovers because I keep bringing that up, but the nostalgia act was getting real old. How you get rid of Joey Votto when he's hitting 147? Yeah, you do. Justin, he wasn't hitting 147. Okay, I'm sorry. He had a hot couple weeks and brought his average all the way up to 207. Good for him. 207, I think that's what he's going to finish with if he doesn't come back for the rest of the year. But the more things change, the more they stay the same. Mark Sheldon, MLB.com, covers the Reds beat. Unfortunately, got bad news. So the Reds add veteran, leaders to the lineup. Guys that are producing right now. Pitching is why the Reds decided we don't need to make a move at the deadline. We're going to get Hunter Green back. We're going to get Nick Lodolo back. We're going to get TJ Antone back. Where's TJ Antone? Now, Hunter Green's back. He got shellacked about, 2 weeks ago. I remember me and my family went to that game, not just because Hunter Green was pitching. It was just a Sunday that we went down to enjoy a good game. It was hot as could be. Miserable. My mom passed out. We had to all leave early. Wasn't mad at her for that, by the way. I'm very glad that my mom's okay, but that's how miserable of a day it was at the ballpark. So with how hot it was and how uncomfortable it was to sit in the stands watching that game, Hunter Green got shellacked. I mean, he just got smacked all over that ballpark, right? That's why, but hey, he's back. He's leading the team, whatever. He had to get a couple. That's why I was worried about relying on guys coming back, because when you're in the middle of a playoff push, you can't rely on guys coming off the IL because sometimes you need a start or two before you kind of get in your groove. Well, guess what? Hunter Green looks like he's back in his groove, but how long did it take for him to get back in his groove? Great performance yesterday. I'm not really knocking him. I'm using that as, I'm not even mad that he had that bad performance coming off the IL. Sometimes that's expected. In fact, I expected that. I did not expect him to come off the IL and just be a Cy Young looking pitcher right away. Doesn't work that way. So saying that we're not going to make moves at the deadline because we're going to get Hunter Green back and we're going to get Nick Lodolo back. First of all, unless you have a crystal ball, apparently people love using crystal ball analogies in this building here, by the way. Crystal ball, if you don't have a crystal ball, so even though the timeline is we're expected to have him back by this time, there's always going to be an opportunity or there's always going to be the possibility of a setback. Luckily, there was no setback with Hunter Green. Unfortunately, the Reds did not get as fortunate with Nick Lodolo. Mark Sheldon, Reds beat writer for MLB.com, about 20 minutes ago. Left-handed pitcher Nick Lodolo, left tibia stress reaction, is done for the season. No Nick Lodolo. No Nick Lodolo. He's leaving them solo. I just had to find something that rhymed. Bottom line, that's a problem. But hey, you know what? Who cares, right? We didn't need Justin Verlander. I wanted them to give it to us for free. Can you believe that We asked for Justin Verlander, and they wanted one of our prospects. My gosh, the nerve. The Reds never seemed more Little League based. That was the most Little League approach I think I can imagine for where the Reds were at that point of the season. Well, we're going to get Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo back. There was always the possibility of a setback, especially when it comes to the Reds. Luckily, Hunter Green's back. But as predicted, things don't go the way we as Reds fans always want. Nick Lodolo done, shut down for the rest of the season. So now it's Andrew Abbott. Now it's rookie pitchers. Now it's, second-year starters. Now it's a lot of inexperience in a bullpen that started out really rough, that has statistically not been terrible, but very inconsistent. And there's just a lot of things the Reds could have done differently to navigate this, to control this. And instead, you're a week front office when you throw everything up in the air, and when you throw it up in the air and everyone looks up and reads the word that kind of makes its way through the sky, hope. Hope is not a strategy. Hey, we're not going to make any moves at the deadline because we hope Nick Lodolo and Hunter Green stay healthy or get healthy and come back. That's not a strategy. That's Bush League. That's Little League. That's embarrassing. And now the Reds are going to get bit in the ass. So even though they make this move for Renfroe and, of course, for Bader, it might not matter. It might not matter. I hope I'm wrong. But I tell you what, it's going to be real frustrating if the Reds do find a way to sneak into the wild card, and then we see, oh man, they don't have a veteran leader in that rotation. Like I said before, you can get by in the regular season, but some of these young pitchers, or first, second-year starters, having some starts here and there, they're having success. But when that pressure builds up, and they're on that mound, and it's October, and there's a chill in the air, and there's a sold-out Great American Ballpark, and there's the expectation to go out and pitch your ass off to advance to the second round of the playoffs and try to, contend for a World Series. It's funny how second-year starters, rookie starters, rookie starters start to look like rookies in October. Second-year starters start to look like second-year starters in October because the pressure is something they've never experienced before. Maybe, just maybe, giving up one of them, prospects would have been worth it if you ask me. Because there was the chance that, okay, if Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo do come off the IL and they both start contributing right away, now you have those two and a Justin Verlander. Oh, that's gold. That's great. That gets you through the regular season, and then it makes you contenders in the playoffs. Now, the game plan of hope, now just bit you in the ass. Congratulations, Reds. Congratulations. But I'm glad they did what they did on the waiver wire. Don't get me wrong, but they kind of deserve this. By the way, I'm not making light of the injury, of course, to Nick Lodolo. That's horrible. Especially, I know this sounds silly. I'm going to be more gutted. So this is bad news, obviously. I'm going to feel worse for Nick Lodolo if the Reds do make the playoffs than if the Reds don't. You guys see what I'm saying? I hate that he's hurt. But I feel worse about the idea of the Reds making the playoffs and him not being available because it's that's frustrating. You feel bad about that situation, not just for him, but for the Reds. That'll be I think the loss of Nick Lodolo for the year, that's going to be a bigger issue in October than what it is going to be for the month of September. Who knows? But hey, maybe they'll get Votto back soon, and that 147 can soar them through October. Maybe, just maybe. Hey, a lot of great high school football action coming up week 3. Some matchups kick off tonight. Jeff Gilbert, Dayton Daily News, covers the high school sports landscape for us here in the Miami Valley. He, of course, is going to be joining us coming up next to be bringing you all his knowledge, of course, covering the local high school sports scene. We're going to talk about that. A lot of big games tonight, some big games tomorrow, including our week 3 game of the week. The Springfield Wildcats on the road taking on the Trotwood Rams. Trotwood coming off of a huge blowout win against Fairmont, which shocked a lot of people. And then, of course, you have the fact that Springfield, who doesn't lose, all right, especially during the era of Mo Douglas, they got shellacked last week. They got beat pretty good. One program not used to losing, one program not used to winning over the last couple of years as they've been pretty young, both coming off of surprising results last week. And that's what's going to make tomorrow night's matchup so intriguing. How do both teams come out? Does Trotwood ride the momentum from blowing out Fairmont last week? All right, Springfield, they're going to be angry. Are they going to come out and just want to punch Trotwood right away? I can't wait. Me and Keith Byers are going to be on the call tomorrow night for our week 3 ESPN Dayton game of the week. Coverage begins at 6:30 with the Buffalo Wild Wings pregame show. Jeff Gilbert talking high school football when we come back.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash.
Justin, you're awesome, baby.
Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather.
Well, the forecast says clear skies and 54 tonight, sunshine 83 on Friday, sunny warmer 89 on Saturday. I'm Rick Shrimp for 1410 ESPN Radio.
Weather is brought to you by Carol Wirtz Tire and Auto Service at 730 South Patterson in Dayton, where they treat every vehicle like their own and every customer like family. Online at c-wtire.com. Your house is more than just a roof over your head. When it comes to protecting your home, you want a roofing company that you can trust. That's where Enterprise Roofing comes in. They've been serving the Dayton area for over 90 years and have over 1,000 Dayton area projects under their belt. They're a third-generation, family-owned business, and they're here to stay. You can trust Enterprise Roofing to be here, now and whenever you need them. Call today at 937-298-8664 to schedule your consultation.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, your favorite drafts are poured at a frosty 29 degrees, and rare barrel-aged whiskeys are served just the way you want them. It's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch? Every day, from lunch to late night. Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Stick around after the sun sets. Twin Peaks is open really late. Wind down with bourbon and late-night fights.
At Harley-Davidson of Xenia, the atmosphere is positively electric as we look to the future. Our name may have changed, but Harley-Davidson of Xenia has been locally owned since 1984. Under our new management, the staff and store are buzzing to get you set up for the open road. Whether you're shopping for merchandise, a new bike, or just need some maintenance on your current ride, Harley-Davidson of Xenia is here for you. Visit us online to learn more and to place a reservation on your new bike. hdofxenia.com.
Saving money with 11% off everything at Menards. Mastercraft makes the highest quality doors at the best price. Menards offers fast delivery on customized doors, or choose from our great selection of in-stock doors, ready to take home today. Pick up a 3-panel mission-style exterior door with top light for just $299.99 after 11% rebate. Good through September 4th. Savings are a mail-in rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards.
$5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right. My friends at Cordell Transportation are now hiring experienced Class A CDL drivers with excellent work history. If that's you, apply now. Cordell Transportation offers home daily dedicated lanes, no-touch freight, and brand new equipment, plus a $5,000 sign-on bonus paid over 18 months, paid orientation, and company 401k with company match. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
Hot rods, muscle cars, classics. You gotta see Cars and Parts Giant Swap Meet and Car Show this Friday and Saturday at the Clark County Fairgrounds in Springfield. You gotta be there. Fun for the whole family. Bargains on everything automotive. Buy, sell a collector car, see show cars, find parts for your winter restoration project. Cars and Parts Giant Swap Meet and Car Show this Friday and Saturday at the Clark County Fairgrounds in Springfield. Call 937-376-0111 for more info or visit ohioswapmeet.com.
There's never any FOMO with the iHeartRadio app. You won't ever have to miss out on your favorite shows and contests with this radio station again. Radio 24/7, 365. We're here when you want us. Stay connected and listen anywhere when you download the free iHeartRadio app.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Every day, you breathe in thousands of microscopic germs, allergens, and viruses. Don't let these invisible invaders make breathing through your nose impossible. Flush them out with Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril around the back of the nose and out the other nostril, helping flush out all the nasty things that make you miserable. Nearly 4 million people use Navage to breathe better, snore less, and feel healthier. People like Cindy, a verified Navage user who writes, "I've had such awful nasal congestion for the last couple of years. I bought Navage and OMG, I can breathe again. I love this thing. Goodbye, Neti Pot. Hello, Navage." End quote. If you suffer from sinus congestion, allergies, or snoring, then Navage is the safe, drug-free solution you've been looking for. Navage is at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and Navage.com. Navage. Navage. Clean nose. Healthy life.
With Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles, you can choose the pair you want. Limited time only during breakfast hours. U.S. price participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
The Springfield Wildcats, the Trotwood Rams, one of the premier Week 3 matchups in the Miami Valley. Don't miss our high school football game of the week this Friday night on 1410 ESPN Radio and on 101.5 Hank FM. Pre-game coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. with a Buffalo Wild Wings pregame show, leading you all the way up to kickoff at 7 p.m. Stream the game at wingam.com.
Justin Kinner back with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. Week 3 of the high school football season is officially upon us. Kicks off tonight, but of course we'll have our ESPN Dayton Week 3 game of the week coming up tomorrow evening. We'll have the Trotwood Rams welcoming in the Springfield Wildcats. Pretty excited for that matchup. Jeff Graham and the Rams welcoming in, of course, Mo Douglas and his Springfield Wildcats. And I'm really interested in that matchup tomorrow night, especially because of the fact that, you know, it was kind of a surprising outcome with the way that Trotwood beat Fairmont last week. Not just that Trotwood beat Fairmont, but it was the way they beat Fairmont. And then, of course, Springfield coming off of a very tough loss against a very good team out of Maryland. And we'll talk about that coming up here in just a bit. But a lot of great games around the Miami Valley, high school football-wise, Week 3. And I'm always excited to bring on our next guest. Jeff Gilbert, Press Pros Magazine, covers the local high school scene, of course, athletics scene for Dayton Daily News. Jeff Gilbert, welcome, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good to be talking football again.
Absolutely excited for Week 3. A lot of great matchups, of course, around the Miami Valley. Not just tomorrow night, Jeff, but tonight as well. And, of course, you're going to be busy out scouring the area for some of the top matchups. Where are you going to be setting up shop tonight?
Butler's at Troy. Both teams are 2-0, early MVL season. Butler beat Piqua last week by 3 or 4 scores, and they haven't beaten Piqua in a while. Piqua's been one of the better teams in the MVL. Now Butler beats them. I don't know, it's early in the season. What's that mean about Butler? What's that mean about Piqua? Hard to say, but Butler certainly seems like they could have definitely a better season. Troy is off to a 2-0 start after finishing really strong last season. They run the ball well. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what that looks like. And who looks good in that league. I think Xenia probably looks good in that league as well. The winner of this game, Xenia, that'll be interesting to see. Xenia's got Sydney at home on Friday night. So, that'll tell something because Sydney's got a good winner. So, it's going to be interesting to see as we get into Week 3, Week 4, things start to crystallize a little bit. Who's the teams to beat in certain leagues? If you didn't know before the season, you start to kind of figure that out.
Xenia, of course, Elijah Johnson, their running back. I've had a chance, to watch him a little bit. And, of course, he's just been very consistent in the first couple of weeks for Xenia. You talked about their consistency. They're run dominated, of course. But what have you seen from Xenia and Elijah Johnson so far?
Well, I haven't seen him, but I know he played some last year, because Trayshawn Saunders played some defense.
Mm-hmm.
And he ran the ball. He looked like a guy who could really run the ball well for them. I mean, the big thing for them is they got 4 starters on their offensive line back, which I talked to those guys this week. I have a story coming out tomorrow about them. And so that's huge. You got guys that can run the ball. You got guys that experience blocking. You got a quarterback who's his second year as a starter. They got some good defensive players back as well. So yeah, are they going to go 10-0 again? I have no idea. Wouldn't predict that, but I think they can definitely have a good season, and they seem confident.
Jeff, it's funny. I don't know about what pushback you get, but when we set our schedule for our game of the week, it's always, why don't you call this game? How come you're not giving this team coverage? When you decide what games you're going to cover, are those assignments set from Dayton Daily, or is that do you just kind of? I mean, you've been around for so long, you would just have a great feel for it. Do you get to kind of pick that?
Yeah.
And if you want to blame Dayton Daily News, that's fine. That way that you push off some of the heat, right? I just blame my bosses. They don't know my bosses.
each week, so you probably have to set it up farther in advance than I do. I could change my mind today and go somewhere else tomorrow night than where I'm planning to go, right? So that can happen. But me and our sports editor John Boyle, we talk, we trade some messages on Sunday night, Monday morning, like, hey, here's what looks good, what do you think, here's what I'm thinking, and then we come to a conclusion. Like tomorrow night I'm going to go to Valley View, do my first trip down there. I'm looking forward to that. They're playing Bellbrook, who I saw week 1, beat Tip. Dave Jablonski is going to go. He'll be at Trotwood for the Springfield game. So, that's kind of what we're doing this week. And then next week we'll figure out who's going where again. That's kind of how it works. You just sort of, what's the better games? What's the better, you do look at audience as well. Your core schools, you think about that as well in your core area. And so then you make decisions. Yeah.
One matchup that I have circled, and it's, we see Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's. We see their basketball team a lot, especially at the Flying to the Hoop High School Basketball Showcase. We've seen them play Centerville on the hardwood before. And I'm not saying that they've never come here to play football, but I don't recall, coming across them coming here for football. And again, I'm not saying they never have, and you know that answer, but I'm really intrigued, Jeff, by this Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's at Wayne matchup tomorrow night. That one I'm really intrigued by.
Yeah, I am too. They're 2-0. They've got a couple wins. I don't remember seeing them here. I don't know. I know that they've had some good teams. I don't know, honestly, a whole lot about them. Last year they went 6-3. I'm looking it up real quick. They went 6-3. Got into the playoffs. They played 3 playoff games. I guess they didn't get a full regular season. They finished 8-4 overall. So I think they missed 1 game. So they won 2 playoff games, and then they lost to Hobart by a big score. They're Division II. So don't know much about them, but I'm sure they'll bring athletes, and they'll be, they won't be easy to handle. That's for sure. Wayne's going to have to show up, but I think Wayne will. I think that offensively they're very good. Defensively, we'll see what they turn out to be.
Wayne, of course, had a big week from Tyrell Lewis in week 1 in that shootout against Fairfield. And then obviously, against Pick Central, that defense kind of stifled him a bit. Again, 184 passing yards. He did throw a touchdown, but he also had 2 interceptions as well. Pick Central's a very, very good team. Obviously, you don't know much about Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's, but Tyrell Lewis, of course, it seems like Wayne's offense goes as he goes, especially with what he could do with his legs as well.
Yeah, he's got a lot of talent. He's a junior. He's had a lot of experience at the position. I think he's got good receivers. They went over there on the road. You go to Columbus on the road early season. I mean, Centerville went over there as well, and played a tough game against. It's escaping me now, but they played Kaufman. Mm-hmm. And a team they beat last year, but then they go over there and lose a tight game. Wayne and Centerville both had chances to win their games in the fourth quarter, and could have easily won those games just as easily as they lost them. So I think those 2 teams are going to be two of the top 3 teams probably in the GWAC this year. Certainly top 4, probably top 3 with Springfield. That's kind of the way it feels right now, but time will tell.
Jeff Gilbert, Dayton Daily News, Press Pros Magazine, again, covers the local high school athletic sports scene here in the Miami Valley, and awesome enough to join us here each and every week, kind of previewing and highlighting some of the top storylines, matchups throughout the high school football season, of course. We talked about Akron St. Vincent St. Mary's at Wayne. Jeff, I know this is, I have this circled because I feel I like this right now. Beaver Creek, at Thurgood Marshall at Beaver Creek, 2 programs who are kind of similar in regards to just trying to find a way to get a consistent winning program going. Thurgood ended a couple-year losing streak in week 1. Of course, they got hit last week, of course, but they're going up against Beaver Creek, who has also been trying to rewrite, to get back into that win column consistently. And they started to do that early last season. So a big opportunity for both teams to pick up a week 3 win here before really heading into their conference play.
Yeah, it is. And you have to figure Beaver Creek is going to have a bigger roster. They're going to be deeper. I mean, that has to be the team you figure can win this game. Even last year, this time of year in their non-conference, of course, they lost to Xenia like they did this year, and then they beat Franklin. They beat Ponitz by a really big score. I don't know how Ponitz and Thurgood compare this year. I don't know enough about that to, I don't think anybody really does. So yeah, Thurgood's going to think, hey, we got a shot here. And Beaver Creek's thinking the very same thing because they know what's coming with the GWalk, and they're not giving up on the GWalk. This is the year we got to win a GWalk game. So they're going to be very focused on that as well. But I think it's a matter of time that Marcus Colvin gets Beaver Creek at a competitive level where they can go into a lot of GWalk games feeling like they have a chance. Last year wasn't the year for that. This year, I got to believe they're going to feel much better about their chances. Whether they can pull out a win or not, I don't know, but they're certainly going to have that opportunity this year. And if they can win this game, build more confidence, then that will help them.
Another one, again, tomorrow night. What matchup? So I know we're at tonight. Tomorrow night, Bellbrook.
I got Bellbrook at Valley View. Yeah. So I saw Bellbrook in week 1. They do the same thing. They run the wing tee. They got 3 guys that can carry the ball that are tough. None of them are really big, but they're tough runners. And they got some quick. They got one guy, Mackay Smith, who's really quick on the outside. Valley View, they got Caden Henson back at quarterback. They got a lot of guys back all around the field. They had a really good season last year. If you remember, they lost an early season game to Milton Union, and they beat Milton Union in the playoffs. These could be the 2 best teams, at least out of our Dayton area in the Southwest Buckeye League this year for sure. So, this is an interesting game to consider. It's going to have playoff points implications, which we know they're all going to get in the playoffs because there's 16 teams, but it's going to have implications on seeding, and of course they're in the different divisions. So each one of them could still win their division in that league, but it's going to have implications. There's no doubt.
Last but not least, again, I know there's a lot of top matchups we're missing out on, and there's so many.
You can't cover them all,
yeah. You definitely can't. But our game of the week 3, our ESPN Dayton week 3 game of the week tomorrow night, Springfield at Trotwood. I know you heard the open last week, so we're at Northmont, Jeff, and it's halftime, and you know how hot it was last week, so I needed to get out of that press box just to get a little cool air, if that existed. I go out there, and the PA announces the score. It was 38 or 33-8 or 38-8, whatever it was. Trotwood didn't just beat Fairmont. They beat down Fairmont. So they they beat Fairmont. Of course, the oohs and the ahs, everyone was gasping at that surprise score that had come out. And then another one that kind of got a very similar reaction, of course, was Springfield. Not just losing, but getting blown out in their loss. Of course, they played DeMatha Catholic, out of Maryland. I mean, that's where Chase Young and a lot of prominent alumni have played there before. But that was a surprising result as well. That's what makes this matchup so interesting. 2 surprising week 2 results come to a head tonight. Jeff Graham, Mo Douglas. I'm pretty excited for this matchup, our week 3 game of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could be 2 places at once tomorrow night because I like both. I like the game I'm going to, and I'd love to see this one as well. I saw both of those games you're referring to last week. I had the Trotwood game on Friday. I had the Springfield game on Saturday down in Ironton. And Trotwood, I expected Trotwood to be much better this year. They've been super young since COVID and since 19 when they won the state. They've just been so young. But Timothy Carpenter is playing really well at quarterback. He's got guys he can get the ball to in space and make plays. And so that's, they outflanked Fairmont in ways, and then they really stuffed Fairmont's bread and butter stuff up the middle, the dive play and things of that nature. They just really stuffed that and did a really good job on that. So they come in on a high, right? Mm-hmm. Springfield, was 7-7 late in the half, and then they gave up a touchdown, and then they had 2 interceptions. One led to a quick touchdown, and the other one was a pick six. And so all of a sudden they're down 28-7 at the half against a really good team, and you're just too big a hole to get out of. One thing, they tend to, every year, even these last couple of years, they get beat in the GWAC game, right? Springboro beats them, or whoever beats them. I think Miamisburg got them a couple of years ago.
Yep.
It was a Fairmont last year. Yeah,
it was Fairmont last year. It was Miamisburg the year before, because that's when they had Jackson McGowan, and that was a heck of a game too. That was a huge one, yeah.
Right. And Mo talked to me. I talked to Mo Saturday. He says, "Hey, you know what? This was an out-of-state game, but we know." It's humbled us. We know what we got to do. And this team, the last couple of years, when we've lost a game we weren't supposed to lose, we have been very resilient, bounced back, and played even better after that. So if they do that, then you got to figure this is Springfield's game to win, despite Trotwood's growth. But it could be a very good close game. And if it is, it could go either way.
All right. Well, good stuff. Jeff Gilbert, again, Press Pros Magazine, covers the local high school athletics scene here in the Miami Valley for Dayton Daily News. Awesome enough to hang out with us this week to preview some of the top high school football matchups and storylines throughout the Miami Valley. All right. Well, Jeff, thank you so much. I know you're going to be busy the next couple of nights following as many of those top matchups as you can, but thank you for giving us some time today.
You're welcome. Anytime. Look forward to it.
All right. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. We'll be right back.
Listen, stream, watch. It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-2668. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-2668. 800-583-2668. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Skid Row and Buckcherry together. The Gang's All Here Tour. Skid Row, Buckcherry, September 6th at Rose Music Center at the Heights. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com and RoseMusicCenter.com. Skid Row, Buckcherry, the Gang's All Here Tour.
College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers here to tell you about OGW Energy Resources. If you own a home or a business and want to save money, then going solar with OGW Energy Resources is the way to go. OGW Energy Resources have been helping the Miami Valley save money by going solar for over 14 years. There is no better time than now to look into going solar. For more information, check out their website at ogwenergyresources.com. Go solar today. OGW Energy Resources. Your energy, your future, control it.
Summer rib season is back, baby, at Frickers. Join us for the perfect pairing of frickin' chicken chunks and baby back ribs together all summer long for only $14.99. Bring the whole family as kids 10 and under eat free from the kids menu all day, every day. Spend time with the family. Enjoy frickin' chicken chunks and baby back ribs all summer long for only $14.99. And kids 10 and under eat free only at the home for fun, food, sports, and spirits, Frickers.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
This is an auction you will not want to miss. It's going to be incredible. It's the Brown & Sons Nursery's annual stock reduction auction of high-quality nursery stock. Save hundreds, even thousands of dollars. The auction starts promptly at 7:19 a.m. on Saturday, September 9th. Feel free to come out and jump in to bid anytime during the day. 4 auction rings run all day. Brown's has a huge inventory of shade trees, shrubs, evergreens, ornamentals, and perennials up for auction. Brown's Nursery is easy to find. Just a half-mile north of Phillipsburg on State Route 49, just 4 miles north of I-70 on exit 24. Plan now to fill your entire landscaping needs at a huge savings that can't be matched anywhere. Visit brownsnursery.com and click on the auction link at the top of the homepage for all the details. It's the annual stock reduction auction happening on Saturday, September 9th at Brown's Nursery, promptly at 7:19, rain or shine. Tell all your friends and neighbors. Delivery will be available Saturday, September 9th in Phillipsburg.
Now is a great time to schedule a back-to-school dental appointment. Dr. Lori Fitzgerald, president of the Ohio Dental Association, is here to tell us more.
Your child's teeth and gums need the right food, nutrition, and vitamins to grow strong and stay healthy. Help them maintain good oral health by brushing every morning and night, flossing, visiting the dentist twice a year, and developing good eating habits. As kids head back to school, it is important to know that foods and drinks high in sugar, acidity, and other cavity-promoting substances are often low in nutritional value and have the potential to create plaque capable of damaging tooth enamel. A back-to-school dental appointment can diagnose any potential problems and improve your child's oral health. Ohio Dental Association member dentists are located throughout the state, are dedicated to providing the highest quality dental care, are bound by the highest ethical standards, and obtain superior ongoing education and training. Ask if your dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association so you know you are being treated by the best. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit oda.org.
I can't wait to leave for vacation. Where are you flying to? I'm going to the Bahamas for a week. Are you TSA pre-checked? No, there isn't one in Dayton. You are actually in luck. Montgomery County Clerk of Courts just opened a TSA pre-check location in the downtown Dayton Auto Title office.
Hi, this is Mike Foley, your Montgomery County Clerk of Courts. Please visit gettsaprechecknow.com to schedule your TSA appointment at 451 West 3rd Street in downtown Dayton. We do take walk-ins, but priority goes to appointments.
At Staples, school savings are always in session. From art supplies and essentials to the latest tech, in stock and price low. School on, save on at your local Staples store.
Every Thursday at 3 p.m., Kinner and Kev will kick off the show with the voice of the Ohio State Buckeyes, Paul Keels. Don't miss the Kinner and Kev Show, weekdays at 3 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio.
All right, everybody, we welcome you back. Justin Kinner with you here on Dayton's ESPN radio station, 1410 Wing AM. We're close. We're getting closer and closer to the kickoff, the NFL season. We got college football kicking off this weekend. We're already a couple weeks into our high school season here locally. To talk a little NFL, I'm excited to bring on our next guest, salary cap expert with the Orange and Brown Report. We got Mr. Jack Duffin. Jack Duffin joining us from, well, not here in the States, out of the country. He's hanging out with us here today. Jack, welcome in, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's an exciting time of the year. It's mad. Over 1,000 players get cut from NFL teams in the space of like 72 hours. And I don't think you'd see anything else like that in sport anywhere. So incredible.
Especially with the, with so many, you said 1,000 players being cut right now. And obviously the season less than 2 weeks away at this point. And it's just it's a mad scramble. A lot of these guys have gone through the grueling camps. They're in shape, if you will. Some will, wherever they end up, may not be as, experienced within those particular systems. But some of these guys will will find jobs, and others will keep looking. It's kind of like the transfer portal right now. This is the NFL's version of the transfer portal, if you will. Just a mass exodus of players.
Yeah, and then you always get the guys who are like, we can't let go of this guy. We'll never make the practice squad. Someone else is going to pick him up. And then we're sat here in 2 days' time, re-signing all those guys. Even like an Austin Watkins, who was the darling of the preseason. Hey, the Browns think they might get him back. So it's one that lots of teams are cutting exciting young players. And just because he looked really good against sort of third-string cornerbacks that are also getting cut and not making teams, teams are aware of that. It's not like he was playing up against Jalen Ramsey, sort of Jair Alexander level corners. He was doing it against weaker competition. And so who knows? He could be back on the Browns practice squad come Wednesday, Thursday, very soon.
Yeah, and how much of that do you think had to do with the return of Goodwin, which, considering the circumstances with him, it's not like that was just your typical ankle sprain or something that was a scary health scare, but he's cleared to return. So from a selfish football standpoint, we're happy he's back just because of his speed and his ability, but also because, his health, and we're glad he's healthy. But how much did that have a role with why the Browns moved on from him?
Oh, it's massive. I was sat here thinking, when was the last time the Browns had a wide receiver 3 that was as talented as Marquise Goodwin is as a wide receiver 4? That is the range of depth. And it's fascinating. Usually we're sat at this time of year as Cleveland Browns fans and we're like, oh, can we find a starter here? Can something else happen? We're chatting about sort of like wide receiver 6, tight end 3. And that is a pleasant change from the darker days of old.
Yeah, Bengals fans get mad at me because, and I don't think I'm like spinning this here. Like, obviously the Bengals, I think, have the talented wide receiving core in the AFC North. And then I like the Steelers. I think they have the second most talented, as far as with Pickens and company. But I think that the Browns have the deepest wide receiving unit in the AFC North. Is that a hot take like I'm being accused of, or is that a pretty realistic assessment?
No, I think that's fair. The top 3, it's easily the Bengals, and I don't think it's that close. But when you start looking at depth, because outside of sort of Tyler Boyd, there's a couple of guys that might have something, but we don't know that yet. But Tillman, exciting. David Bell had a better rate of getting open against man coverage last year than Chris Olave. And that is striking, considering Chris Olave, incredible wide receiver talent. And if you look at how much money is getting spent on the roster, the Browns are spending over $300 million. If we compare that to what the Bengals are spending this year, is $241 million. You would expect the Browns roster is going to be a bit better if you're spending an extra $60 million on it.
With that too, and again, the thing is with all these massive contracts, the one thing about that again, being a fan of the Browns, and when the Browns got Deshaun Watson, and they already had like Myles Garrett, and you had Nick Chubb, and you had they took care of Denzel Ward, and obviously they made the trade for Amari Cooper. There's big names, big contracts, and then they make the huge trade, of course, for Deshaun Watson. He gets that mega deal, the fully guaranteed deal. Everyone lost their minds over it, but fast forward not even a year and some change later, and that contract looks about as friendly as any in the league right now. But the one pushback you always get is, well, the Browns, good luck once that money, they're not going to be able to afford anything else than that they've paid Deshaun Watson. But yet here the Browns are. They keep kicking the can down the road. They keep restructuring deals. $38 million, the last I checked, in available cap space. I mean, significantly more than anyone else in the NFL. The question I have for you, and I think a lot of Browns fans have for you, Jack, is that money freed up for something in particular, potentially being a move before the season? Maybe some help, some insurance around the trade deadline, or is this just simply to roll over some cash into next season, which gives them even more flexibility in as far as concerned?
Yes, so it's all there ready to be rolled over to next year. By all means, if something crazy happens, they lose a key piece, they can make some move that they don't plan to make, and it gives you just options and flexibility. But the plan is to roll that over. And it's to allow them to keep outspending the league. So effectively what they're doing, each team might set a budget. The Browns are outspending the average NFL team by $50 million a year. If we look at the last 3 years, if we take the last 3 year window, they're outspending the Bengals by $200 million over the last 3 years. And hey, to Bengals, you go, hey, you've drafted well. You've won more games than the Browns in the last 3 years, and credit where credit's due. Well, 2 years. Let's see what happens in this third year here. But it's one that they've now got to put up and deliver. The Browns, though, because Jimmy has them and having an owner that is incredibly cash rich, it's not just rich. There's different types of rich when you get to NFL. It's not just wealth. It's having that liquid cash to just go and throw around. They're able to basically go, hey, we'll spend the same budget other teams are doing, but we're going to spend 2 years into the future And as long as the salary cap keeps going up, fingers crossed there's no pandemic, and that's what caught the Saints off guard, then they can continue to do this. It's entirely sustainable. There's nothing they're doing that you look at and go, hey, they can't keep doing this for years and years and years. And outspending the league by 50 million a year effectively, and that's just the average. That's not the bottom of the league and sort of below average where the Bengals spending is. That's just league average. They're effectively getting Deshaun Watson for free. They've got an average roster plus a free Deshaun Watson. It's a nice spot to be in because people are going, oh, what if Deshaun Watson struggles? You've blown all this money. What's going to happen? They've got that. So it's a really, really exciting. And hey, we're grateful as NFL fans that the Chiefs aren't spending the same way the Browns are. Because if they had an extra 50 million worth of talent, it would be 31 teams competing for who's going to lose to the Chiefs every year.
Why? So the Haslams have been around for a while, Jack. And by the way, salary cap expert Jack Duffin hanging out with us, Orange and Brown Report. The Haslams have been around for a while. Why now? Why is this like the way people talk about the Browns and their approach to the salary cap? It's almost as if like, oh man, they got brand new ownership and brand new management and everything. Obviously, Andrew Berry plays a huge role in this as well, but it's not his money he's spending. It's the Haslams. Was this Andrew Berry philosophy that he pitched to the Haslams and they jumped on board? The Haslams have been cash rich for a long, long time. They've been the owners of the Browns for quite a while. Why all of a sudden over the last couple of years, Jack, is this the philosophy for Cleveland?
Yeah, so I think we saw the journey initially was Sashi Brown right at the start said, hey, there's not enough good talent on this roster, so let's gut it, get lots of high draft picks and roll over lots of cash so we can spend and go out there and really aggressively tackle talent and where we can fill that in. There were some crazy years with John Dorsey where he just went, hey, let's just spend everything. And it wasn't so much about building sustainable. It was like, let's just win now and put some wins on the board so fans and everything is trending in that direction. But since Andrew Berry's been there, it's like, hey, let's be aggressive, but also be managed. And I know that seems weird to talk about management when you're out spending the league by such a vast amount. But at the start of the offseason, I was like, hey, I think they'll spend around this much cash. They're about 3 million over that. When you're talking about sort of a 300 million budget, it shows that they're doing what I would expect them in the realm they should be in, which is positive to see. It's not like they're spending crazy sums and you're going, hey, they can't sustain this. But there was no point pumping in money to lose when it was about getting the number one pick, getting high draft picks and sort of churning the roster and finding some good players. Now's the time, sustain that winning and spending sort of a sixth, well, 20% extra than just league average. That's a massive amount of benefit because, hey, Andrew Berry gets to have a bigger budget. If he was trying to do this team and then cut 50 million of cash out of the roster, that's grim.
Jack Duffin with us here. Jack, a couple more things. I know, I appreciate your time here this evening for you, of course. But the Nick Chubb is a fascinating piece that I'm glad that the Browns do have on the roster this season. But take the name brand away from him, take his production away. At the end of the day, teams who have highly paid quarterbacks, teams who have a lot of money paid into wide receivers and pass rushers. When I always say I disagree with this idea that the NFL is not they don't respect the running backs. It's just they're not financially prioritizing them because it's a simple thing of supply and demand. I don't know why we make this more difficult than it needs to be. I'm glad Nick Chubb's still with the Browns, but it's also kind of wild because does it make sense for Cleveland to continue putting money into the right position, or are they fortunate enough to be able to do that because of all the reasons you just stated, because of the rollover money, because of the cash rich owner and the strategy of how they manipulate the cap? Is that why it's realistic to maybe expect Nick Chubb to be around even past 2023, or will the Browns kind of follow suit with the rest of the league where it's just not smart to invest into your running back?
Yeah, if they were trying to match the other teams in the league and you had to kick sort of 50 million out of the budget, you're starting at running back, and that's just an unfortunate nature of the position. But when you're able to go out and spend more than league average at all 22 spots on the roster, you can afford to do a little bit more. When Nick Chubb was extended, it looked like there would be no chance of another deal because you would expect the position market to keep increasing. Instead, in an NFL on the salary cap that is flying up at a crazy rate, we're talking 7, 8, 12% up year on year. And obviously it'll move around, but the running back position is going down, which is just, incredible. You couldn't imagine a market which is continuing to grow and then one position, just one single position. Everything else is trending up. Kickers, special teams, the lot. Just running backs is going down. And that opens up the door to Nick Chubb hanging around. And if we look at when Kareem Hunt was extended by Andrew Berry, it happened on the first Tuesday before week 1. So date for the diary, guys. Next Tuesday, just before the start of the season, we could see that, especially if Jonathan Taylor's moved. They could go out and go, look, we're going to guarantee the 2023 and 2024 season. We'll put 2 option years on the back where the team can get out of it if health and stuff declines. And that's going to be the thing with Nick Chubb. You just genuinely don't know. People go, oh, we could do it forever. No one knows that answer. And that's why they just want to keep that flexibility, because they'll happily keep him around if he can produce like Nick Chubb. But the minute he's not, they're not going to care, because it's not about selling jerseys or keeping fans happy. It's about winning Super Bowls. And the minute he is not performing up to the level of his contract, you've just got to move on. And they'll find the next stud. As you said, supply and demand is crazy. There is so many gifted running back athletes coming out that they're almost causing a knock-on impact. That it's like, hey, why extend this guy? There's another superstar athlete just walking out of college.
Send us out with this. I know you cover the Browns and obviously their salary cap, but you obviously kind of follow the trends of the league to kind of obviously put context into what the Browns are doing. Let's stay in the AFC North. Look, Jalen Hurts got paid right away, right after the season, obviously. Lamar, after a lot of kicking and screaming on both sides, not just him, they get a deal done right before the draft. Justin Herbert gets taken care of. We knew it was going to be the summer of those quarterbacks with Joe Burrow being there, but Joe Burrow, here we are, even with the injury. I mean, the season kicks off in less than 10 days, and yet he still doesn't have a contract. Everyone thinks I'm stirring the pot. I'm like, he has totally changed that franchise. There is nothing that he can ask for that the Bengals should say, yeah, we can't do that. Like, there's just no excuse. But yet here we are, deal's not done. I think that's weird. I think that if you think about it, it should just be a blank check, fill it out yourself, and then we all move on. I think it's weird. I think there's something strange going on as to why it's not done. If you think about it, strip it down. Joe Burrow is asking for something, and the Bengals are bulking at it. What are they bulking at? Why do you believe a deal has not been done yet? And is this some of the the alarms that you said were, or the red flags that could potentially impact an organization like the Bengals, who, unlike the Browns, are not cash rich? They can't, it's not easy for them to do fully guaranteed contracts at any level. What is your takeaway as far as what you think is the holdup in Cincinnati right now with Burrow's deal?
Yeah, it's bizarre. I didn't think there'd be any issue with Burrow. Once we get into the Higgins, the stuff like that, I thought there might potentially be a challenge there. But you would assume this would be done. It's like, hey, add $500,000 to whoever the last quarterback that gets paid, and you just go next one up. I don't think guarantees are as much of an issue as people think. Maybe put in some injury guarantees, but they're not more than that, because the last above average quarterback to get cut in the NFL was Peyton Manning. That is like how far back you have to go, that guarantees just don't affect these guys. And when he got cut, he then got more money on the next deal after he'd been cut. So it's one that cuts just don't impact that position. If you above average, you're safe for as long as you want. Even Jared Goff is just keep continuing to get paid, whereas you would assume that'd be an obvious cut. But there is such a shortage of quarterbacks. So I think it's one that it will get done. I'm not sure why it's taken so long. They were sensible. They sold the naming rights to the stadium. Why wouldn't you? It's money that you can put into the position and keeping him around. So I think it will happen. I think it will be a massive number, that like $1 million, $500,000 a year more than Justin Herbert, I believe, was the last. But yeah, I would have expected it done by now. It might be one that just happens between the end of all this roster movement and week 1. But he would be mad to go out there and start playing again without, because we saw that injury the other day. If that would have been a lot more serious, and you never want to see a player get that serious an injury that you go, yeah, I can't play anymore. But anything like that is always a risk. So get your money, sign it, and then go out there. And he is going to be a really, really fun player to watch. The hometown discount stuff, no, I don't believe in any of that. You never really tend to see it. And look, the old Tom Brady saved the Patriots. He was playing for like $3 million a year less. It was like, are you really telling me that $3 million saved there was so good at like below like average free agent made all the difference? No, it's just because Tom Brady was amazing. The money didn't really impact him much.
All right, good stuff. Jack Duffin, salary cap expert, Orange and Brown Report. Awesome enough to join us here. It's the Kinner and Kev Show, 1410 ESPN Radio. Jack, thank you so much, sir.
Have a good day.
It's the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash on 1410 ESPN Radio.
At the UPS store, you can ship it all. We're your bulky sports equipment shipping store, your heavy luggage shipping store, your fancy art shipping store. We're even your I can't believe it's already time for back to school shipping store. So visit your neighborhood We Ship It All store for dependable UPS shipping with easy-to-use tracking and competitive rates. The UPS store. Be unstoppable. The UPS store locations are independently owned. Product, services, pricing, and hours may vary. See Center for details.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hey, I'm College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byers, and I'm here with John Glazier from Glazier Soft Water. Did you know we are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes?
Yes, I did. But did you know that Glazier Soft Water is the home of the 7-year, worry-free parts and labor warranty? We've been making water great since 1988. What were you doing in 1988?
That was my 3rd year in the NFL with the Philadelphia Eagles. I had 10 touchdowns that season, and we made the playoffs in 1988.
So you can say that we both have been doing great since 1988. Glazier Soft Water. Glazier Water is better water.
Want to try the best in boneless chicken? Head to Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken and pick up a 10-piece strips meal. With 10 freshly marinated, honey-dipped, hand-breaded breast strips, 2 irresistible large sides, 5 fluffy biscuits, and 3 dipping sauces, it's the best in strips and a meal to match. Bring home dippable, craveable perfection for the whole family with a Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken 10-piece strips meal at a great price. Only at Lee's. Famous for chicken.
Your house is more than just a roof over your head. When it comes to protecting your home, you want a roofing company that you can trust. That's where Enterprise Roofing comes in. They've been serving the Dayton area for over 90 years and have over 1,000 Dayton area projects under their belt. They're a 3rd-generation, family-owned business, and they're here to stay. You can trust Enterprise Roofing to be here, now and whenever you need them. Call today at 937-298-8664 to schedule your consultation.
It's time to say goodnight to that check engine light with the free AutoZone Fix Finder service. It'll help troubleshoot the likely cause of your light for free. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Your 3rd-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes kick off the season at Indiana this Saturday. Don't miss a second of the action as pregame coverage begins at 2 p.m. Go Bucks!
Coming to you live from the Superbook